Hey, what's up, guys? This is Benny Ricciardi from EliteSportsBetting.com, and I'm actually here tonight to give you guys a money-making opportunity that I am unable to take advantage of, but I know that some of our subs might be able to take advantage of, so I wanted to give you guys the breakdown on it. This way you can go make some easy money. So I know a lot of you guys had mentioned that you're not big fans of competing in these, 150 entry tournaments that these guys are throwing a bunch of lineups in over on DraftKings or FanDuel right now. And I understand where you're coming from. It can be a little bit much for some new players. Some people don't like the idea of lineup building. Some people just don't want to play against guys that have 150 lineups in when they're throwing in one. And one of the ways I tell people you can kind of get around that is by looking at some of the smaller sites that don't have the, massive 150 entries that a site like a FanDuel or a DraftKings has. And we actually partnered with one of those sites recently in Thrive Fantasy. And I think it's a really interesting concept of what they do over there. It's not a salary cap kind of game. What they do, it's more of a blend of fantasy sports and sports betting. So I think it's something that we're going to be able to take advantage of, especially this week looking at their PGA tournament. So here's basically the idea behind everything. There is massive overlay over there right now, and they're also offering deposit bonus. So we're able to take advantage of all these things that we can do that can help us get a better chance to win some money at the end of the day. So you go to thrivefantasy.com. When you sign up, use promo code ELITE. You'll get a little bit of a deposit bonus. It's not a lot of money. I want to say it's $10 or $15 is the deposit bonus that you get in your account. Thrive is running a PGA tournament on Thursday. Currently, the tournament is massive overlay. There are only 5 entries out of 180 entries. It's a $25 entry tournament. So you could put like $15 into this account when you sign up, get the free $10 that they're giving you as well, and you'll be able to get an entry into this massive overlay tournament. Now, the way they run their tournaments over there, they give you 10 props that are out there in the market. You have to pick 5 of those props that you think are going to hit. Now, there is a little strategy involved in this as well because the props are paying like props pay out in the market. Something that's more than a 50% chance of happening, you're only going to get like 80 or 90 or even 70, 60 in some cases points for picking that prop correctly. Whereas something that might be like a plus 150 in the market or so, they're paying you 145 points on. So just by getting that bigger, long shot thing to happen, you're going to be able to get yourself above the list. Now, the long shot things that are paying the most points are also the things that are the least likely to happen. So when you're building your lineups here, there's going to be a balance between things that you think are going to happen and things that you think might happen. And if they do happen, can give you a leg up on the field because a lot of other people aren't going to have them. So I'll run through it all so you guys understand. There are 10 questions that they're asking right now. And like I said, each question has different payouts, whether you're right or wrong on it. So for example, the first one up here is Tiger Woods to shoot over or under 68.5 strokes today. So if you decide to pick the over on this, you're only going to get paid out 90 points. If you pick the under, you're going to get paid out 110 points. Now, par on this course is going to be 72 this week, and that's important because there are a couple people here who have these, over-under number of strokes. So for Tiger to be under 68.5, he's going to have to shoot a 4 under tomorrow, which would be a pretty good score. I mean, we talked about it here today, when Paulie and Frank were on the PGA show earlier on EliteSportsBetting.com, that they don't think that this is going to be a week where we have a minus 20 winner. The roughs are a little bit tougher here. They're talking about the greens being a little bit faster. It's a course that already has a lot of slopes and turns to it. So faster greens could make it really tough to putt this week. The higher rough, if you miss the fairways, they are big fairways at this course. But if you miss the fairway, you're going to be in rough that hasn't been cut in over a week and wasn't all that friendly last week at the same course here as we're playing back-to-back for the Memorial. So expecting a lot of these guys to put up like really low numbers here today is probably not the best way to go about doing it. So, basically I threw these out to both Paulie and Frank, our 2 PGA experts, to kind of look at. And Frank was really excited about, taking the over on Tiger here. He thought that there's a really good chance Tiger does shoot over a 68.5, which could still be like if he shoots a 69, 70, 71, he's still 1, 2, 3 strokes under par, but it wouldn't pay off for you in this bet right here. So Frank likes the over on that one. It pays 90. It's one of the more chalky ones, but it is a good one to use as a foundation. The one that the guys liked the best was actually Spieth over 2.5 bogeys. The reason why I wanted to make sure I told you guys about this one, and I would be including it in my lineup as well, The under 2.5 bogeys only pays 85. The over 2.5 actually pays 115. So you're getting more than even money on it. And it's one of the few that our guys really like that was paying more than even money. A lot of the stuff that they like is the stuff that is going to be chalky. You're going to get 60, 70, 80 points maybe on the back end. But the Spieth over 2.5 bogeys one is playing plus 115. Both Frank and Paulie highlighted that as one of the ones that they would really be interested in playing. Another one that both Paulie and Frank agreed on here is, Justin Thomas to shoot over 66.5. So basically for him to shoot a 67 or higher, which, as you can guess, is a pretty chalky thing to take here, because you basically would need him to be 6 under or 7 under or 8 under or something like that in order for him to be below this number. Now, remember, the way this tournament is, they do a different one every day. So this is only for the Thursday games. So for the Thursday tee times and all that, you're looking for him to go, again, 66 or below, which is going to be tough. I don't see a lot of people doing that. Both of them really loved, and they actually both like JT as well, but neither one of them thinks that JT is going to go under 67. The over on that is only paying 70 points, but it is one of the chalky ones that you should be looking at to kind of build your lineup out there. There's a couple other ones here that, nobody really had a big lean on, so we'll save those for the end. Frank had a couple other leans that he was looking at. He likes the under 5.5 birdies for Bryson. Again, not paying a lot, only 75, but I actually like the under 5.5 birdies for Bryson. A little more than the over 66.5 for JT, because you're getting paid a little more on it. So if people decide to pick the JT one, you pick the Bryson one, getting 75 versus 70 points could be the difference between you, finishing 5th or 6th and finishing 15th or 16th. If all those other people have the same lineup that, tied for 15th or 16th, if all those other people have the same picks that you do with him in there. So Bryson under 5.5 birdies, another one that Frank liked. The over on that is paying plus 125. We also have Rory over 3.5 birdies. Frank liked that one as well. Paulie didn't really say. He kind of said that was like kind of 50-50-ish to him. But if you think Rory, which Paulie does, Paulie actually has Rory as one of his outright favorites to win this week. If you think he's got a chance to win the outright, that means he's going to have to go low pretty much every day. So expecting over 3.5 birdies out of Rory is not that crazy. This is a course that has 4 par 5s. Rory is one of those guys that should be able to go long, hit a nice iron into the green, and then be able to putt in to get a couple birdies on these. Really, that's going to be the key to the day for him. I mean, on these 4 par 5s, he's probably going to have to get 3 birdies out of that, and then figure out where he can get 2 other birdies or 1 other birdie on the card in order to get him over that 3.5. I like that over 3.5 as well. It only pays 80, so it obviously is something that's a big favorite here. But I do expect Rory to play well, and if we expect him to play well, that means he's going to have some birdies. If he's got a couple birdies, there's a good chance we could hit the over on this one. So those are the ones that our guys kind of had a lean on. And like I said, one of the problems is a lot of them are the short price ones. The JT over pays 70. The Tiger over 68 pays 90. The Bryson under 5.5 birdies pays 75. The Rory over 3.5 birdies pays 80. You're not going to win this tournament by having a whole bunch of those things, because there are a lot of other ones, a couple of them like Justin Rose over 11.5 pars here. That's paying even money either way. So if you have all these 70, 80s, and 90s, and somebody else has the Justin Rose one and a couple of the other ones that you had as well, even if they have the same 115 on Spieth that you did, if Rose could go over or Rose could go under that 11.5, it's still paying better than taking some of these other ones here. So if you're looking to go completely chalk, you're not going to win, especially if you're playing the GPP. Now, if you're playing the cash game, again, if you're playing one of these $1,000 heads-up cash games over there with no rake, which is really cool if you're a high-stakes player, there's no rake on these head-to-heads over $1,000. So if you're somebody who plays big, this might be a site for you guys to look at, especially for any of our subs over there. Again, put in the promo code ELITE. They'll give you a little bit of a bonus on your deposit. But you can play rake-free head-to-heads for $1,000, which is pretty cool. If you're playing in those rake-free head-to-heads, or you're playing in some of these other cash games, you really just want to try to get 5 out of 5 right here, because that's how you get the most points. So taking some of these shorter price things is probably the way to go. But if you're trying to win the GPP, the $25 one that I'm talking about here, that's probably going to overlay. You're not going to win it if you just take all the chalk. So you're going to have to mix in some of these, either some of these longer shot underdogs, maybe even using some leverage off of some of those higher value ones, which we'll talk about here in a minute, or look to some of the other ones that are probably going to be the ones that are less played. Again, the Justin Rose 11.5 pars over and under there. The pars, basically, you're going to have to get 12 pars out of them to get the over. Again, 11 pars or less to get the under. I feel like the under's a tough bet because you're basically banking on him having a lot of birdies and a lot of bogeys to get this done, right? Because a lot of times if a guy goes out there and just gets, like a 2 or 3 under, maybe he had 2 or 3 birdies and maybe 1 bogey or so, or maybe he had 4 birdies and 2 bogeys. That's not going to get it done for you there because 4 birdies and 2 bogeys is 6. That means that he still had 12 pars there. So if I'm going to bet one side of this one, I actually like the over in this a little bit more. And like I said, with that paying even money, 100 points to either one, it's going to give you a better boost than taking JT over, or the Tiger, or the Bryson, or the Rory, the ones that we liked. Because again, those are paying below 100. You're going to need to hit all of those and hope that your opponent gets a couple wrong in order for you to win. And in a GPP, the guy who wins is probably going to hit 5 out of 5, and he's going to have a couple of them that weren't the low price winners. Brooks Koepka over 4.5 birdies and eagles. That's playing even money as well. Again, I don't know if I like to take it over under. I think it's a really good number for him because I do see him going out there and getting, probably 4 or 5 birdies or eagles. So this is the perfect number here. The problem is you got to be on one side or the other. If I had to pick a side here, I'm going to go under 4.5 birdies and eagles. Again, you're getting even money on either side of this that you want to be on. So with Rose, I'm looking at over the 11.5 pars. With Brooks, I'm looking at under the 4.5 eagles. 4.5 eagles and birdies, put together. Again, Koepka's not somebody that Frank and Paulie, our 2 PGA specialists, were high on this week. So I'm a little comfortable taking the under on him, not putting up a big day. Because again, if they thought he can go out there and put up 5 birdies a day or so, he probably would have been somebody that they were higher on than they are. Next one I want to talk about, Jon Rahm, 13.5 pars plus bogeys. So what they're basically saying is that Rahm's not going to get more than 5 birdies. I don't really like this one. I'm staying away from it because I could see Rahm going like 3 or 4 under here, and he might do it by getting, maybe he gets 5 birdies and a bogey. But 5 birdies and a bogey is going to give him 6, or 5 birdies and a bogey is going to give him 13. So it could be under. Or he could come out and only have 3 or 4 birdies and wind up with maybe 1 or 2 bogeys if he doesn't play well, and then a whole bunch of pars where he ends up with 15 or 16 there. So I really don't have a lean on either side of this. So 13.5 pars plus bogeys for Rahm. Again, over is 105, under is 95. I don't really want to touch either side of it. So I'm just kind of staying away from this one. If I had the lean, I'd take the over just because it's paying a little more and I think it's a good number. Let's see, what else do we have here? One that I do think is interesting, though, is Dustin Johnson, over or under 0.5 eagles. So basically, does he get an eagle on this course or doesn't he? I mean, again, there are a couple par 3s. I don't know if they're going to be ones that he's going to be able to reach and, kind of putt and get in and, one. Like, he would have to hit a hole in one on those. There are a bunch of par 4s, though, that are very reachable. If you hit a good tee shot, you get a good approach shot there. You're going to have probably a long putt, and it's going to be a tough putt because, like I said, these are very hilly greens. And from what Paulie's been seeing, it looks like they're going to be really slick and really fast. So it's not going to be easy to hit these long putts, but hey, you're basically betting on maybe something like this happens. The reason why I say maybe something like this happens is the under on this bet is the shortest price on the board at 55. The over is 145. I don't want to play the under even though it's likely to happen because with 55 points, it's not going to push you ahead of a lot of people there. But playing the over at 145, that 145 is the highest number on the board. Like I said, JT over is paying 70. The Bryson under 5.5 birdies is paying 75. You got to use 2 of your 5 spots to get 145 points there. Or you could use one of those spots and hope that Dustin does wind up getting that eagle. If Dustin gets an eagle tomorrow, you're going to be in the driver's seat to win because you're going to have one spot that already has 145 points for you. And then even if you take all the chalk around it, the Tiger over 65, the Spieth over 2.5 birdies, even though that's bogeys, even though that's not chalk, JT over 66.5, Rory over 3.5 birdies. You could take some of those 70s and 80s, mix them in with a plus 145. If you hit that plus 145, you're pretty much guaranteed you're going to be up there in the top 5 or top 10. Now, again, we have a lot of overlay here. So if you're going to be in the top 10% of a tournament that's going to overlay with only 180 people, you're going to put yourself into a spot where you're going to be being one of those people who cashes for, a couple $100s here. So is it high risk, high reward? Absolutely. But again, this is a GPP play. Would I take the over 0.5 eagles in the cash game? Absolutely not. But if I'm trying to get the top score to win and take down a GPP, you're going to have to take some of these longer odds here. And Dustin Johnson over 145 is one of those ones that you could take. Now, the last thing I want to say here, now that we went through all the numbers that are on the board, is leverage is a good thing to try to take advantage of here. And here's what I mean by it. All these numbers are half numbers, right? Like Tiger, 68.5. So there's going to be either an over or an under there, right? One way or another, one of those two sides of the coin is going to hit. Now, the chalk is to take Tiger over 68.5. By taking under, though, you're giving yourself a lot of leverage because, one, you're going to knock out basically everybody who had the Tiger over. So if the Tiger over is 30 or 40%, you're going to knock out 30 or 40% of the field by doing this. Plus, it's going to give you basically a 200-point swing on your total score. Again, if all those people are picking Tiger over to get 90 points and you take him under to get 110, you're going to have a 200-point swing on everybody who picks Tiger. And the under is going to be something that's very low owned. Maybe only 10 or 20% of the other lineups that are in the tournament are going to have that bet. Same thing goes for Bryson over 5.5 birdies playing 125. The bottom side of that is 75 for the under, which is the bet that we like. What I'm basically saying here is, even though these are the bets that our guys like, it doesn't mean they're going to be right on every single one of them. I mean, if you follow Paulie and Frank, they might make 50 bets in a weekend. It's not like they go 50-0. Now, again, they're winning more than they're losing, so obviously these are guys to listen to. But if you're looking to take 5 bets here and you have 5 bets that Frank likes, there's a good chance that 1 or 2 of those might lose. And the thing is, if some of these are the chalk ones that they like, the 1 or 2 of them that might lose are going to be paying over 100. And that's the leverage that you're going to need to win one of these tournaments. What you really need to do is you need to avoid picking the same 5 guys that everybody else is picking, because then you're going to end up with the same exact score that everybody else has. So don't be afraid to be a little different. And when I say a little different, I don't mean you need to pick the 5 things that nobody else is picking. You can include 2 or 3 of the chalk ones in there, but you probably don't want 4 or 5 of the chalk ones in there, because then I think you're going to wind up with the same lineup as everybody else and kind of get tied there. There is leverage for picking against some of these things that are high. So if you're going to make, say, 3 or 4 lineups here, maybe you take 2 or 3 of these on every lineup, and then you also bet against one of these. Because if these are going to be the things that are 60, 70% owned, betting against them means you're going to get things that maybe only 10 or 20% of the people use. Because remember, you don't have to use all 10 of these, so not every one is going to be on every single person's paper. You're also going to have a lot of these even money ones that people have a tough time figuring if guys are going to fall on one side or the other. You know, things like Justin Rose, 11.5 pars, or Brooks Koepka at 4.5 eagles and birdies. If you pick 1 or 2 of these even money ones and you get them right, you're going to be ahead of all the people who went pretty heavy on the chalk ones that we're talking about here. You know, the things that are only paying 70 or 80 points to kind of win. So what you want to do if you want to win, if you're going to pick 4 of the favorites that are paying low money, you better make sure you have the long shot on the board, Dustin Johnson over 0.5 eagles or so, because you're going to have to make up for those extra points that you're giving up. If you're going to pick, what I would do is probably pick like 3 of these that these guys like the most, bet against at least one of them, and then go and pick one of these other ones that not a lot of people are on. You know, Morikawa is probably going to be something that people stay away from. Justin Rose, the Koepka, John Rahm, 13.5 pars plus bogeys. Those are probably going to be ones that by nature are going to be lower owned. These are going to be things that are only 20, 30% owned, no matter which side of them you wind up being on. So include 1 or 2 of those in there, bet against one of the favorites that we like here, and then take 2 or 3 of the other favorites that you like and build your lineups that way. Remember, use promo code ELITE over at Thrive Fantasy. You'll get a bonus on your deposit. You can play in this $25 tournament now that literally only has 5 people in it out of 180 that they're looking to fill. And at this point, we're less than 36 hours to tee time. So I really doubt this is going to fill. Overlay is one of the best ways for you guys to make money. And I'll explain it to you real quick. Let's say this tournament only fills up to 90 people. They're paying out right now 38 out of 180. If they don't get to 180, though, they're still paying out 38. So 38 of 180 is like a little over 20% of the people are going to get paid. If the tournament only fills to 90 people and they're paying out 38, now you're basically looking at like 40% of the people getting paid, which basically makes it like a double up. On the double up, they pay out 44% on DraftKings and FanDuel. The difference between this is if you come in last place, you're doubling, or if you come in the last place of cashing 38th or above, you're doubling your money like you would in a double up. But if you come in like the top 5 or 10 places here, you got a chance to make a couple $100 or $1,000. So it's like a double up that has upside. So for me, there's no better way for you guys to understand, you know, game selection than what we're talking about here. Rather than put your money in a Millie Maker, put your $25 entry into a Millie Maker on DraftKings, where chances are you're not even going to come close to cashing. And even if you do cash, the min cash, I think, is like $35. So you pay like $25 to make like a $10 profit. You're probably better off playing a tournament like this over on Thrive Fantasy, because not only are you getting the bonus to sign up with, not only are you getting the overlay there, but you're also getting all the information that you need to build some good lineups here. One of you guys is going to take down this tournament, and I'm going to be really happy about it. Unfortunately, it's not going to be me because I live in New Jersey and I can't play, which is why I have absolutely no problem giving you guys all of the information that I would have used to build my lineups if I was able to play. From what I hear from the guys at Thrive Fantasy, New Jersey is a state they're trying to get into, but unfortunately, the lawmakers in my state of New Jersey are idiots and charge basically $500,000 for all of these sites to be able to operate in the state, which is easy for a DraftKings or a FanDuel to pay, but it kind of kills a lot of these smaller, the smaller websites that are out there as well. But the smaller websites that are out there are a much better proposition for a lot of you guys to be able to make a profit than it is going up against guys putting 150 lineups in on DraftKings or FanDuel. If you're one of those people who has success doing that, by all means, keep doing it. I'm not telling you not to, but there's a lot of people who don't want to go up against those kind of guys. And what they're offering here at Thrive Fantasy is a way for you not to have to deal with the salary cap of building lineups, and also for a way for you not to have to deal with playing against some of the big boys with the mass entry out there. So definitely get over to Thrive Fantasy. Like I said, promo code ELITE. That'll get you the bonus that you want. All the information from PGA I just gave you here. So go out there and make some money. This has been Benny Ricciardi with EliteSportsBetting.com. Thanks for joining us, and be sure to tune in for the rest of our videos.